Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of the NASCAR Heat 5 Career Mode. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we go racing here at Homestead Miami Speedway for all three series, the Truck Series, Xfinity Series, as well as the Cup Series. Very excited to get this one underway at what is my favorite track on the NASCAR schedule, and we start things off here today with the Gander RV and Outdoors Truck Series here with subscriber Stewie Moore in the truck for us here today in the Ford EcoBoost 200 here in Homestead, Miami. As you see the stories of the race, Jennifer Jo Cobb, she gave up her qualifying position for a brand new set of tires here, so she will be starting at the back of the field as we would get ready to take the green flag here at Homestead, Miami. Stewie Moore, like I said, a community member in the truck, and we would get underway. He qualified just outside of the top 10 here in Miami as we go down into turn 1. But like I just mentioned, this is my favorite track on the NASCAR schedule, so always excited to run any races here now in Miami as we come through out of turn 2. He was already going 3 wide down this back straightaway with the 38 of Chandler Smith on the very bottom there as he goes down the backstretch into turn 3, and he was making up a good chunk of time right off the bat here as he goes into the corner up at the very front of the field. You saw drivers like Johnny Sauter going for the lead there, as though Stewie got into the outside wall there into turn 3, lost a little bit of ground there as it goes down the front stretch, coming through to complete this first and opening lap here in Homestead, Miami. Now as you dive down into turn 1 up the inside of that 18 truck, very close there with him through the center of the corner and on the exit of turn 2, but he would be able to clear him on the exit of the corner. Then he would get up to the 38 again of Chandler Smith as he came through now a little bit later in this race into turn 3. He would be able to pass him now as he came through out of turn 4. Then he would get into a battle with the 16 of Austin Hill as he went down into turn 1. Now he was side by side battling it out with him, and this battle would continue on a little bit here as he came through out of turn 2, trying his best to clear that 16. Couldn't quite do so as he went down this back straightaway, so it would continue on for a little bit longer now as we come through now out of turns 4. Eventually, as he came down this front straightaway, Austin would still maintain up his outside, but he would eventually get clear of Austin Hill, and we came through right to the final lap of this race here, running in the 10th position right behind the number 2 of Rajah Caruth now as it came through the center of 3 and 4. Now on the exit of 4, trying his best to get past that 2 truck. Now as it goes down the front straightaway, not quite enough there as he's going to come through to cross the line with a solid top 10 finish here for us in Homestead, Miami. So cannot complain there. A solid run by Stewie Moore as Ross Chastain picked up the victory. I keep forgetting to take Ross Chastain out of the Truck Series now that he is full-time in that number 42 car in the Cup Series here in our career mode. But there you see the rest of the finishing order on your screen. Mike Harmon at the very bottom. We come through into the Xfinity Series race where I just simulated through this one with myself in the car. Josh Bilicki ended up picking up the victory. It wasn't a great run for myself. We were actually down outside of the top 15. Still struggling a little bit here with this brand new team in the Xfinity Series, but a nice surprise winner there with Bilicki, as you've had a couple surprise winners so far this season on the Xfinity side of things, with Cesar Barrichello down there at the very bottom. Now as we get underway here for the Cup Series weekend, coming into qualifying, we have the Razor paint scheme on the car, but a little bit different here this time out. It is the pink alternate version. We also have a blue alternate version of our main Razor paint scheme, which you will see at some point throughout this season as well a few times now, as obviously the green and black Razor paint scheme will be the one that you see throughout the majority of the season here in the career mode. Now as we come through into our qualifying lap, the goal was the 32.189, and then we go down into turns 3 and 4, and I kind of felt pretty good about this lap. Now I usually don't run the bottom at Miami, but I do that for qualifying. We come through down the front straightaway, a little bit off the go by about a 10th with a 32.268, and we get a very solid 12th qualifying position here in the Dixie Vodka 400 at Homestead Miami Speedway. Now as we get ready to check out the rest of the qualifying order, our teammates like Alex Bowman down there outside of the top 20, John Hunter Nemechek at the very bottom of the field. Now as we come through to check out the top 10, Elliott, by the way, down there in P16, but the best Hendrick driver, Kyle Larson, there in P3 in the number 5 car. Zane Smith, the rookie, joins Martin Truex Jr. on the front row. Truex just announcing that he will be retiring from the career mode in the last episode at Atlanta, which was quite the race at Atlanta Motor Speedway in the last episode, as you saw Daniel Suarez have a huge accident, and then Truex, he had an opportunity to try and win that race. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work out for him, but like I said, he has announced he will be retiring at the end of the season in the career mode now as we get ready to go green here for the Dixie Vodka 400. Wasn't the race we were looking for last time out at Atlanta? I think it was our first non-top 10 of the season, if I'm not mistaken, so hopefully we can rebound today, boys. There you heard myself on the radio to the team, just talking about how, last episode we actually didn't get the top 10 now, as things didn't quite go our way towards the end of that race after what was a really good race, but we look to rebound here as the green flag is out for the Dixie Vodka 400 at Homestead Miami Speedways. We start in the 11th position due to Eric Almirola being sent to the back of the field before the race now as we go down into turn 1 up the inside of our former teammate Denny Hamlin, who's not really had the best start to this season here in the career mode, and a driver like Denny Hamlin getting quite up there in age. Definitely when you have a rough season like he's having so far, if that continues on, you might be able to maybe think about replacing him here in the career mode now with another driver. So you could see drivers like Hamlin, Kevin Harvick very soon on their way out here in the career mode, just like Martin Truex Jr. is at the end of this season now as we come through out of turn 4, right on the back there of the young driver of Noah Gragson here as we go down towards turns 1 up the inside of another former teammate and defending champion of ours, Kyle Busch, as we go down into turn 1. There you saw Christopher Bell. He was all the way up at the top. The 20 car also off to a bit of a rough start this season, but we're already up inside the top 10 here into P8, now to the outside of the 1 of Gragson and to the outside of the 21 of the rookie of Austin Cindric, who's had a very good qualifying effort, but he is quickly fading down the order now as come through the center of 3 and 4, already up into P6 to the right-hand side of Kyle Busch, and now making it 3 wide with him, as well as the other rookie of Zane Smith as we go down this front straightaway. Kyle Larson in the number 5, our teammate side by side with our rival of Joey Logano as we go down into the corner. Still 3 wide racing, but we have such a good run through the center of 1 and 2 that we will pass both Zane Smith as well as Kyle Larson, and just like Austin Cindric, Kyle Larson is quickly fading down the order now as Gragson follows us through. He is now into the 5th position, but look at the leader of Martin Truex Jr., long gone. He has led the most laps this season, been up front pretty much every race so far. Obviously only a handful of races into this regular season, a lot of time for many things to change now as we go down into turn 3. Now on lap 6 we had finally gotten everything kind of spread out, sorted out and whatnot, and we were kind of running in 4th, but I was losing contact with the front 3 drivers in front of me. Logano, Kyle Busch, Truex, they had all driven away. Kyle and Joey were both running down Truex actually as time was going on, but I was now starting to fade to the cars behind me. The 5th place driver was now our teammate of Alex Bowman there as I make a bit of a mistake through 3 and 4, and that opens the door for Alex to close that gap up right to the back of us here as we go down this front straightaway. So now at risk of losing the 4th position, but you just saw in the pit lane for a brief moment when I look behind me a good bunch of smoke coming from a car that is now in the pit lane. That's actually Austin Cindric, who's already out here in Homestead, Miami. So the rookie has DNF'd in Homestead, Miami as we're side by side with our Hendrick Motorsports teammate of Alex Bowman there. As you see that bit of a lighting change with that glitch that's still in the game from like NASCAR Heat 4 with the lighting doesn't match up with the correct times in the replay cameras now has come through out of turn 4. So we get cleared by our teammate of Bowman as we go down this front straightaway in that number 48 Chevy Camaro here. As I'm thinking about now that I've started to actually get into designing paint schemes myself with Photoshop and whatnot, you might see a new primary scheme for that number 48 car in the future, and then you'll actually see Alex Bowman's name on that 48 car as well, instead of still Jimmy Johnson's, who's been retired for a whole season now, going into his 2nd season of retirement here as it came through now a little bit later. Cole Custer in that number 41 car, who's had a very strong start to this season. He had a pretty good end to last season, and then he's now had a very strong start to this season, and he continues that coming here into Homestead, Miami. Now already on lap 15 of 19, not really a lot of stuff happened in stage 1, and Cole, he would clear us into turns 1 and 2, so now down into the 6th position as now Ryan Blaney, the Penske driver, trying to run us down here. And you've noticed the Penske cars, they've really been struggling in the same races now, but then all of a sudden now Penske's having a good day with Logano and Blaney inside the top 10, though Keselowski really struggling now as Kyle Busch. He had taken the lead with a few laps to go in stage 1 as I'm just trying to hold on to P6 over Blaney, still running this outside lane, but the caution comes out for the first time here today in stage 1, and this will end the first stage about a lap and a half early now as you see Zane Smith and Matt Benedetto round out the top 10 as Kyle Busch takes the stage victory away from his teammate of Martin Truex Jr. As I come into the pit lane to make some adjustments to the car, I put just a little bit of grow tape up, and then I actually make some tire pressure adjustments. I didn't really want to mess with the wedge too much, but the tire pressures were something I definitely messed with. Car felt just a little bit too loose on the long run, guys. Hopefully these adjustments will kind of tighten it up there, as I think we got some speed on the short run for sure, but the long run we're definitely struggling a little bit. There you heard myself, just a little bit of feedback to the team as we gain 1 position on the pit lane there, overtaking Cole Custer. So now on the inside line, I do not want to be on the inside for restarts. It really does not play into my advantage, but for the start of stage 2, we're going to go into the AMP segment. There you had the AMP segment here in Homestead, Miami for the start of Stage 2. You kind of saw how things panned out there. We're now down in the 6th position as we restarted in the 5th position. Cole Custer was able to get himself back out in front of me now as we're a bit under attack there from the 12 of Ryan Blaney. But I was able to get up to the outside now and kind of get comfortable again. And Joey Logano, he was kind of falling off here. He was 3rd in Stage 1, but has now dropped down to 5th behind the 48 of Bowman as well as the 41 of Custer, who is continuing to move his way up the field now as the caution actually comes out for Kyle Busch, who's in 2nd place, blows an engine as we go down into turn 1. It at least appears that he's blown an engine. It might actually just be a tire, but either way, caution out for one of the fastest cars on the racetrack as everybody will be staying out here, and I can confirm this is not the end of the day for Kyle Busch, so it could not have been an engine failure now as we get ready to take the green flag now back from the 5th position, and once again, unfortunately, on the bottom again, just like the last restart now as we get back underway with Truex, Bowman, Custer, Logano, and myself rounding out the top 5. Kyle Busch has a lot of work to do here with just 11 laps to go in Stage 2. He's already won this season a few times, so he's locked into the playoffs, of course, but he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to get up back into the top 5 and compete for the victory with what we know is the car that is capable of winning this race. Some contact with our rival of Logano as we got up the inside of him. I knew he wasn't going to be very friendly there, but I was trying to get past him, and he ran into us. He runs into us again as we go down into turn 3 and again into the corner. He goes sideways behind us. He ends up getting hit by DeBenedetto, slows them up. He continues, though, on his way. He saves the car. A good save overall by the 22 of Joey Logano, but that was just not a smart move on his part, and unfortunately I felt like that's probably going to reset our rivalry after we made some good progress with not really running around him in these recent races. But now that's probably just going to hit the reset button, and we're going to have to try again in the next race and going forward now as we would get cleared though by Logano's teammate Ryan Blaney. Then Daniel Suarez got into the mix. He passed me, then he passed Blaney. Daniel Suarez now climbed up into the 4th position here as I get to the back of Blaney, to the inside actually of Ryan Blaney as I'm trying to make this inside work into turn 3. I knew it probably wouldn't work, and sure enough, as I dive down into the corner, it's just not going to work at all there. I get very sideways there in the back end, and I just lose that position to Ryan Blaney as now Joey Logano was once again getting up into the mix. So we come through now on lap 11 out of turns 4. Logano now gets up our inside here, so he definitely still has some solid speed, at least more than I do, as I continue to fight. There's some contact between myself and the 22 of Logano, the 2nd time here today as we've come together into turn 1 now, but Logano is going to get clear, but definitely some temper starting to build between myself and the 2018 Cup Series champion of Joey Logano here as we go down the back straightaway. So Logano moving his way back forward as he's putting the pressure on the back of his Penske Racing teammate of Ryan Blaney now as we go down into turn 3 in the 7th position. Sure enough, they would get side by side as we go down into turn 3 now on lap 13. Truex still leading the way, but Daniel Suarez has now moved into the 2nd position. He passed Alex Bowman, he passed Cole Custer, and then we come through to just 2 laps to go in the 2nd stage. I kind of lost connection here with these guys in front of us like Ryan Blaney and Joey Logano, but now Suarez was putting pressure on Martin Truex Jr. for the lead. We came through to the final lap now of Stage 2, and Truex actually gets very defensive, as you can see in the distance there on Suarez, covers his line into turns 1 and 2 as we're right on the back again of Ryan Blaney as we have run him down as we exit turn 2, right on the back of him here as we go down the SPAC straightaway up the inside of the Penske driver as we go down into turn 3, but now Suarez up the inside of Martin Truex Jr. for the potential stage victory now as we are going to kind of pull a slide job there on Ryan Blaney as I sent it into the corner, and it works. Daniel Suarez actually wins Stage 2. Blaney comes back to the inside, but it's nowhere near enough as we come through to get a solid 6th place finish here in the 2nd stage, setting us up nicely for the start of the 3rd and final stage. Anthony Alfredo, a rookie, gets P9 in Stage 2. Kyle Busch has somehow rebounded already back into the 10th position, setting himself up very well for this 3rd and final stage. Car is just a little bit too loose still on that long run, but I really don't want to go too far on the adjustments because I really like what we got on the short run, and I don't want to risk messing that up. We've definitely been very strong on the short run here today in Miami. You heard me emphasize right there that I just don't want to risk screwing that up. So I was trying to be a little bit careful with the adjustments in the car. But Daniel Suarez with the stage victory. And unfortunately, again, we gain a position on the pit lane because Joey Logano had a terrible pit stop. Drops down to P7 and just so happens to be lining up right behind us here as we get back underway for the start of the 3rd and final stage here in Homestead, Miami for the Dixie Vodka 400 as we go down towards turn 1. I was a little bit concerned knowing knowing that Joey was behind me, and sure enough, into turns 1 is going to give us the bumper and push us all the way up into the side of our teammate of the 48 of Alex Bowman. That's number 3 today with Logano now, and all of the moments has been him running into us here as we go down this backstretch. So definitely getting very frustrated with Joey Logano now, as we're not really going to take a lot of his dirty driving very much longer here as we get back underway now, clearing Bowman. He was now forced 3 right behind us between Logano's teammate as well as Zane Smith there in the 7 now as we come through into the visor cam here in Miami. As you see me getting to the back of Logano just a little bit as we go down into turn 1, letting him know that I wasn't a huge fan of what he just did on that past restart now as we come through the center of 1 and out of turns 2. But Kyle Busch moving his way back forwards very quickly now as Daniel Suarez is still battling for the lead, but Cole Custer finds himself in that number 1 position into turn 3 now. Logano, he goes all the way to the top, and just look how good the lighting looks at a track like Homestead, Miami. Honestly, I think this is probably one of the better looking tracks in NASCAR Heat 5. They just got the lighting so well. Even when the game was glitched with the lighting at specifically Homestead, Miami, it still looks so well now, and it continues to look good even after the bug got fixed. Now as we get back on the normal roof cam as we go down into turns 1 behind Logano still. Now we were getting right up to the back of him as we come through out of turn 2, nearly getting into that quarter panel as we go down the backstretch. Now I decided to give him a nice shove down the back straightaway, just letting him know that I am right here and ready to pounce on him here as we go down into turn 3. But now we come through to lap 47 out of turn 2. Another big run on the back of Logano. This time I bounced to the inside as you see Suarez. He's now dropped down into P4 as we go down into turn 3, knowing I'm going to have to try to slide job Logano like I did his teammate Ryan Blaney. We do just that, but we slide up right in front of him, and he does not waste any time. Logano into the back of us. He nearly spins us as we make big contact out of turn 4, slamming down the front straightaway this time as I give it back to him just like he gave it to us as we go down into turn 1. Logano gets back out in front, and he nearly goes spinning into turn 1. I try to finish him off and slam into the back of him, and now we've just damaged the car and done absolutely nothing productive out of this as we drop down to P7 as Logano drives away in the distance. So now under pressure from all these drivers behind, like Zane Smith, Noah Gragson, Blaney, Briscoe, I think maybe as well, Bubba Wallace, all of these drivers, because we have done some performance impacting damage to the car after that whole scrap with Logano. He tried to spin us out of turn 4, and we came together, and I decided right then and there that we were not going to just get separated. I was going to continue slamming into his door down the front straightaway now as we go down into turn 1 and 2. But now, I mean, I probably shouldn't have done that because you can see the effect, and then I tried to take him out in turn 1 when he got sideways, and he kind of got the car straightened out at the worst time possible, and I slammed right into the back of him, damaged the car even more now as we came through on lap 50 into turn 3. I hit the outside wall, and we have dropped outside of the top 10, now down to P15 as Harrison Burton goes through by on the inside there, as now Chase Elliott was even running us down. Elliott still having a rough start to the season when he in reality should be one of the best drivers in the field based off the driver rating, so hopefully he can pick it up soon, but we would continue to just try and fight our best now as we were just continuing to run this outside line. Elliott putting on some pressure now as I decided we're going to have to try to short pit if we want to make up any time at all now because of the damage on the car. So sure enough, in now turns 3 and 4 on lap 55, I decided to come into the pit lane just in front of our affiliate teammate there, William Byron, in that number 88 car for Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Jimmy Johnson's collab team, EJR Earnhardt Johnson Racing. So we came through to put 2 right side tires on the car. A half a can of fuel was all we needed to get to the end of this race, and then I also do the repairs necessary because the car actually needed 3 seconds of repairs. Usually we don't even do that much to the car, so definitely needed those if we wanted the car to be good again, good enough to run top 10. So we come through, join back on the track, and there was about 10 laps to go in this race for the leaders as Kyle Busch, he found himself back out in front at this point here as he's rallied his way back from blowing that tire early on in stage 2. So immediately, though, as Ross Chastain got to the back of us, you will see into turn 1 just how much of a difference short pitting makes, because I stretch out a gap very quickly to Ross Chastain. As you look at the rearview mirror, we were driving away from him as we come through out of turn 2. So we just needed to stay green here and just hope everybody comes into the pit lane now. But you see right there a bunch of smoke from up ahead, and the caution is going to come out with 11 laps to go. Todd Gilliland blows a tire, cautions out, and we are trapped a lap down, but we do get the lucky dog. But now, instead of maybe cycling out inside the top 10, we are going to be in about 39th here, or 38th for the restart, as that will be the end of the rookie of Todd Gilliland's day. Of course that would happen. There you heard just a little bit of frustration on the radio now as we get back underway. What an interesting race it's been, where we ran strong, had issues with Joey Logano, fell outside of the top 10, and now here we are as we get back underway with less than 10 laps to go, now outside of the top 30, and looking like potentially we're going to go 2 races in a row here without a top 10, so we don't want to be doing that. Last season in the number 20 car in our second season of our Cup Series career, we had like probably, I think it was like 13 or 14 top 10s to start the season in a row without finishing outside of the top 10 at all. Obviously that came to an end very quickly this season in the last episode at Atlanta, but we have to get on the move very quickly here. I still had hopes of getting a top 10 because we got 4 fresh tires, and honestly I'm pretty sure the AI drivers still only took 2 fresh tires, so we still have quite the advantage here, but only 5 laps to try and act on it now as we're right behind that 47 Ricky Stenhouse. Get into the back of him there, and now we go around the outside though through the center of 1 and 2. You see Brad Keselowski having a terrible run, another driver like Denny Hamlin, 2 veterans of the sport just kind of having rough seasons so far. Same for Kevin Harvick even now as we go down into turn 3. So now up inside the top 30 though, then we'll get into the top 25, then get up now passing the 8 of Reddick. We passed Kyle Larson, we passed Eric Jones there on the bottom in that number number 02 McLaren. Camaro here is right on the back of Briscoe into turn 3. Hamlin running 18th, Christopher Bell running in that 17th position now as we come to the center of the corner. We know Bell can win. I mean, he won 2 races last season actually in that number 95 car, the first Phoenix race and then the most recent Martinsville race, but we would drive right on by him. Then we would eventually get to Bubba Wallace, but we ran out of time unfortunately here as we come through to the final lap. But what was very interesting to notice is your track map. Daniel Suarez was leading this race. He had actually went up and passed Kyle Busch and had about a 4 car length lead or so over Kyle down the back straightaway here on the final lap in Homestead, Miami, as we still might actually have a top 10 potentially in our hands here as we go down into turns 3 and 4 for the final time in the Dixie Vodka 400 at Homestead, Miami Speedway. But Daniel Suarez out of turn 4 is going to come through to win his first ever Cup Series race as we come through to the line, barely beating Austin Dillon, and unfortunately it is not a top 10. There's some contact with Blaney after the line, but P13 it was. But Daniel Suarez wins stage 2, and then he comes through to win the race over Kyle Busch, just like he won his first Xfinity race at Michigan by beating Kyle Busch after passing him for the win now. So very cool for Daniel Suarez, one of my favorite drivers actually on the Cup Series grid, picks up the victory now. It's been an interesting season for Suarez. Hasn't been great, but he's definitely shown some signs of strong performance, and then he comes out here in Miami today and goes and wins the race. So very cool for him to pick up that victory. But something that you guys might want to keep in mind is I've mentioned before, with my ability to mod the game, we can kind of bring in in-game suspensions and whatnot if we have to, and look for in the next episode maybe for some probations or something to be laid down by NASCAR on myself and Joey Logano. Definitely leave your feedback in the comment section if you think there should be probation, because that definitely was a bit of a boiling point between myself and Logano. Surprisingly, none of us came through without wrecking the cars, but it definitely got ugly there at that point early on in the third and final stage. But as always, if you guys enjoyed this episode, you know what to do, and there you see the playoff grid for all 3 series. Now the Cup Series there is William Byron 1.0, Blaney 14, but currently Bowman is the last car in with Hamlin in 15th. And just before we end this episode, I want to say thank you to the Going Racing members of MJ, Aiden, Tony, Dylan, Joseph, RJ, Timothy, Bubba Jr., Mr. Johnson, as well as our most recent one, NASCAR On Dogs. You guys help out a lot, as I say every time, and I just want to thank you all for taking the time out of your day to watch this episode. And I'll see you guys in the next one, where we see maybe if some potential probations or maybe something more is laid down by NASCAR on myself and Joey Logano. Have a great day, everybody.